The relationship between China and Taiwan is one of the most complex and tense issues in the world of politics. For decades, both sides have been in disagreement over Taiwan's sovereignty and its right to self govern. The world has watched closely as the situation has evolved, with many countries, especially the United States, playing a role in supporting Taiwan's security and independence. But recently, something huge happened. China accepted Taiwan's offer to negotiate a peaceful future together. This shift in diplomatic relations could reshape the entire dynamics in East Asia, with impacts not only on the two countries but on global politics, trade, and security. What is China and Taiwan relationship? First, we need to understand that China and Taiwan have had a very complicated relationship for many years. They both see themselves as the true government of China, but they are in a very different situation. 1. China, officially called the People's Republic of China, is large, powerful country in East Asia with over 1.4 billion people, governed by a communist government, and its capital is Beijing. 2. Taiwan, officially called the Republic of China, is a smaller island about 100 miles off the coast of China. Taiwan has its own government, which is democracy, and the capital city is called Taipei. For many years, China has claimed that Taiwan is part of China, and it wanted to reunite with Taiwan, even though Taiwan has been a separate and independent country for decades. However, Taiwan does not want to be controlled by China and wants to keep its independence. The historical background: why are China and Taiwan so divided? To understand why China and Taiwan are so divided, we need to look back at their shared history. So, the Chinese Civil War, the year 1927 to 1949. The roots of the disagreement between China and Taiwan can be traced back to the Chinese Civil War that took place from 1927 to 1949. The war was fought between two main factions. 1. The nationalists, led by Chiang Kai-shek. They supported a government based on democracy and capitalism. 2. The communists, led by Mao Zedong, who wanted to establish a communist government based on Marxism. At the end of the war in 1949, the communism won and took control of China. They established the People's Republic of China, and Mao Zedong became the country's first leader. The nationalists, who lost the war, fled to Taiwan, a small island off the coast of China, and set up their own government called the Republic of China. At that time, Taiwan was still a part of China in a political sense, but because the nationalists established their own government in Taiwan, China political leadership remained divided. Taiwan maintained its own government, military, and economic system, which have continued to function independently from China ever since. Cold War and the US support for Taiwan. During the Cold War, a period of tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, the United States began to support Taiwan as a democratic ally in the region. The US provided military aid and guaranteed Taiwan's security, largely because of its opposition to communism and the spread of Chinese influence under the leadership of Mao Zedong. At the same time, China was unhappy with Taiwan independence, viewing it as a breakaway province. For decades, Chinese government has insisted that Taiwan is part of China and has vowed to reunify the two nations, either peacefully or by force if necessary. Taiwan democratic development. Over the years, Taiwan has developed its own democratic system with free elections, a strong economy, and a high standard of living. Taiwan is often seen as a success story of democracy in East Asia, and many Taiwanese people are very proud of their independent identity. But China government has never stopped pushing for Taiwan reunification. Over time, China has increasingly used military threats and economic pressure to try to convince Taiwan to reunite with it under One China policy. This policy says that there is only one China and that Taiwan is an inseparable part of it. The growing tension in recent years between China and Taiwan. Over the last few decades, tension between China and Taiwan has continued, and here are some of the key events that have happened recently. China military power. In recent years, China military has grown much stronger and has been sending its military ships and planes near Taiwan. This has made Taiwan very nervous because China has said that it might use force to bring Taiwan under its control. Taiwan has responded by strengthening its own military and seeking support from other countries like the United States. Taiwan election and democracy. In 2026, Taiwan elected a new president, Tsai Ing-wen, who is very pro-independence. She does not want Taiwan to be controlled by China and has resisted China's pressure. In response, China has tried to put more pressure on Taiwan by limiting its diplomatic relationships with other countries and trying to stop it from joining international organizations like the United Nations. Economic relations. Even though they have political differences, China and Taiwan have strong economic ties. Many Taiwanese companies operate in China, and China is one of Taiwan's biggest trading partners. However, Taiwan remains wary of China's growing influence. What does China's acceptance of Taiwan's offer mean? What was Taiwan's offer? In early 2025, Taiwan government led by President Tsai Ing-wen made a bold offer to China. Taiwan proposed that both sides sit down and work toward a peaceful resolution that will allow Taiwan to maintain its sovereignty while fostering economic cooperation and cultural exchanges. Taiwan's offer was a gesture of goodwill, signaling that it was open to negotiate and peace but was unwilling to give up its independence. Taiwan suggested several points in the offer. Maintain Taiwan independence. Taiwan will continue to have its own government, military, and economy. 2. Economic cooperation. Both sides will cooperate more on trade, technology, and infrastructure, allowing Taiwanese businesses to work closely with China's rapidly growing economy. 3. Cultural exchange. Taiwan and China would allow more people to interact, such as tourism, educational exchange, and family reunions. Taiwan made it clear that it will not accept unification with China under the communism system, but they expressed a willingness to explore other avenues for cooperation, focusing on peace, mutual benefit, and understanding. What did China agree? For many people, China's acceptance of Taiwan offer is a huge surprise given China's long-standing position that Taiwan is a part of its territory. So why did China agree to the offer now? Here are possible reasons. 1. Economic interest. China may see Taiwan as a valuable economic partner. Taiwan has advanced technology, especially in semiconductors and electronics, and China could benefit from deeper cooperation in this industry. Both nations stand to gain from closer economic ties, especially given the exchanging dynamics in global trade. 2. Avoiding military conflict. China knows that an invasion of Taiwan would lead to a long and costly conflict with potentially devastating consequences for both sides. With the growing international support for Taiwan, including from the United States and other Western nations, China might realize that a peaceful agreement is better than a military conflict. Internal stability. China's government has faced increasing domestic challenges such as economic slowdowns, protests, and public dissatisfaction. By agreeing to a peaceful offer, China leadership may hope to gain popularity at home and show the world that China is a peaceful diplomatic power. International pressure. With global attention on the Taiwan situation, China may feel the pressure from other countries to find a peaceful resolution. The world does not want to see conflict in such a strategically important region, and China could be looking to avoid international isolation. So, what happens next? More talks and negotiations. Now that China and Taiwan have agreed to talk, there will likely be ongoing discussions about how to move forward. These talks will be very important in determining whether they can find a peaceful way to resolve their differences. Taiwan will want to protect its independence, while China will likely want to maintain its claim over Taiwan. A possible new relationship. If talks go well, we might see a new relationship between China and Taiwan. This could mean that Taiwan keeps its government and democracy but works with China in areas like trade, culture, and regional security. They might even sign agreement to reduce military tension and increase economic cooperation. The role of other countries. Other countries, especially the United States, will be watching closely. The US has long supported Taiwan and want to make sure that China doesn't force Taiwan into becoming part of China against its will. The US will likely encourage both sides to keep peace and find a way to negotiate without conflict. A challenge for China's government. If China agrees to a peaceful solution with Taiwan, it could be seen as a major diplomatic victory for China's leaders. It will show the world that China can work with Taiwan without resorting to war. However, it also presents challenge because there are many people within China who believe that Taiwan could be reunited with China under its terms. What does this mean for the future of Taiwan and China? The agreement between China and Taiwan could lead to a new chapter in their history where they have peaceful coexistence. The best case scenario is that China and Taiwan find a way to peacefully coexist, where Taiwan continues to have its own government and democratic freedoms, but both countries work together in areas like trade, technology, and international issues. This will help avoid a dangerous conflict and will be a win for both sides. Ongoing tensions. Even with an agreement, there might still be some tension. Not all people in Taiwan agree with China, and there are many in Taiwan who will continue to resist China's influence. Similarly, China might still push for more control over Taiwan, which could lead to more negotiations and challenges in the future. So, the global impact. How will this affect the world? The agreement between China and Taiwan could have major consequences for the global order. How? Regional security and stability. If China and Taiwan can peacefully coexist, it will have a positive impact on regional security in East Asia. Taiwan is located in an important part of the world, and its stability affects many neighboring countries, including Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. A peaceful Taiwan could help reduce tension and avoid a military escalation in the South China Sea, a region rich in resources and strategic shipping lanes. US-China relations. The United States has long been Taiwan's strongest ally. If China accepts Taiwan's offer, it could reset relations between China and the United States. The US could shift its focus from supporting Taiwan's defense to working with China and Taiwan on economic and diplomatic issues. This could lead to more cooperation between two of the world's largest economies. However, some US lawmakers and leaders may continue to support Taiwan's independence, and there may be pushback against any agreement that seems to undermine Taiwan's sovereignty. Economic impact. Taiwan is a leader in semiconductor manufacturing, which is critical for the global tech industry. A peaceful China-Taiwan agreement could lead to increased economic collaboration, especially in the tech sector. More cooperation could result in faster development in technology, including advancement in artificial intelligence, 5G, and green technology. International recognition of Taiwan. As part of a peaceful agreement, Taiwan could find more countries willing to recognize it diplomatically. Although China has long pressured countries to not recognize Taiwan as sovereignty state, a peaceful relation could lead to more international acceptance of Taiwan on the global stage. Conclusion: the road ahead for China and Taiwan is the acceptance of Taiwan's offer by China is a historic moment. It signals the possibility of peace and cooperation in a region that has long been fraught with tension and uncertainty. While there are still many challenges ahead, this development opens up new opportunities for both countries and the world. As both sides move forward with diplomatic talks, the hope is that they can find a way to live side by side peacefully, benefiting from each other's strength while respecting each other's sovereignty. This agreement is not just about Taiwan and China, it's a critical moment in global diplomacy that will shape the future of East Asia and beyond. Everyone's agree. If China and Taiwan can find a way to work together peacefully, it could lead to more stability and cooperation in the region. While the future is still uncertain, one thing is clear. The world is waiting to see if China and Taiwan can build a new relationship based on mutual respect and peaceful coexistence.